Okay. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, as usual, I will start my class with this whiteboard. Yeah. So, in order for you to understand the connection between this metabolism, you should understand about the previous pathway in our previous lecture. So, in carbohydrate, we have first glycolysis, and then 3-carboxylic acid cycle, or we known as citric acid cycle, or the other term is Krebs cycle. Yeah. Next, from the Krebs cycle, you will know about respiratory chain or electron transfer chain, yeah, or electron respiratory chain, the same meaning. This 3 is the carbohydrate catabolism pathway. And other than this catabolism pathway, glucose can also undergo alternative catabolism pathway known as pentose phosphate pathway. So in the previous 3 pathway, glucose will be fully catabolized into CO2, carbon dioxide, and water, and also provide many ATPs. But in the alternative pathway of pentose phosphate pathway, glucose will be catabolized into pentose or ribose and NADPH. And for the glycolysis pathway, we have the reverse pathway in which glucose is synthesized, not degraded, but synthesized. This pathway is called gluconeogenesis. Gluconeogenesis. And then if we eat excess glucose, we eat many glucose, then some of those glucose will be converted into glycogen in a pathway known as glycogenogenesis or glycogen genesis. Then when we are in the time of fasting, between meal, glycogen will be break down back into glucose. The pathway is known as glycogenolysis. Glycogen become glucose. Okay, these are carbohydrate pathway. Next, we go to lipid pathway. Okay, first there are 2 kinds of major lipid in our body: triacylglycerol and also cholesterol. First, we talk about triacylglycerol. Triacylglycerol in our body stored in the adipose tissue. This has come from the fat that we eat in our daily meal or from the conversion of carbohydrate or protein become fatty acid. Fatty acid will be combined with glycerol to make triacylglycerol or fat. Synthesis of fatty acid pathway known as fatty acid synthesis. Yeah. The enzyme is acyl synthetase. The reverse pathway of fatty acid breakdown we known as beta oxidation. Beta oxidation will degrade fatty acid to be acetyl-CoA. And this acetyl-CoA is an intersection. Is the intersection between glycolysis, citric acid cycle, or beta oxidation, or fatty acid synthesis pathway. The other part of lipid that is important is cholesterol. Cholesterol come from synthesis of acetyl-CoA. Acetyl-CoA will be taken up and combined. Many acetyl-CoA will be combined. We need many acetyl-CoA. We need 3 acetyl-CoA. Yeah? So acetyl-CoA has 2 carbon atom. 3 acetyl-CoA will make 1 molecule with 6 carbon atom. 6 carbon atom, and this 6 carbon atom will be combined again to make a larger molecule of 30 carbon atom. And this is basic chain of cholesterol. and then we'll have some modification. The final product is cholesterol. Okay, so cholesterol synthesis is like that, and next is cholesterol degradation. Cholesterol synthesis need many energy, but cholesterol degradation also need energy. So basically, to make cholesterol and to waste cholesterol is to waste the energy. But we need cholesterol. Yeah. Previously, I already talked that cholesterol can be converted into vitamin D, hormones, cell membrane. Yeah. Okay, and one again, I forget. So cholesterol can be synthesized into many molecules in our body. So it is very important. However, excess cholesterol will be degraded into cholic acid or bile acid. Bile acid or cholic acid will be accumulated in our spleen, gallbladder. Wait. I always forget the term. Okay, bile. Yeah, bile. Yeah, so cholesterol will be accumulate in our bile sac, and will be excrete into the intestine. From intestine, it will go to our bowel, and it will coloring up our faces and go out from our body. That is the lipid pathway. Finally, we will go into protein pathway. Protein that we eat daily will be degraded into what is called amino acid. Amino acid in a normal condition will be used to make a new protein in our body or to replace the broken protein in our body. However, excess amino acid, if we eat too many protein, will be cut up into two pieces. First is the nitrogen compound or ammonia. Secondly is the carbon chain. The ammonia part of nitrogen will go to urea cycle, and ammonia will be converted into urea. Urea will be taken out from our body in the form of urine, whereas the carbon chain will undergo two kinds of reaction, whether the amino acid is glucogenic amino acid or ketogenic amino acid. Ketogenic amino acid will enter the Krebs cycle to make ATP, whereas the glucogenic amino acid will be converted into glucose. And for the glucose, yeah, it can go anywhere. Can be converted into glycogen, can be degraded into energy by glycolysis, or also be converted into fat. Yeah. So this is all the metabolic pathway you should master in this biochemistry class. Yeah, those are the basic metabolic pathways. So in order to understand the integration, first you need to understand each of the items before we integrate. And to study the integration, I already talked about the important metabolic pathway. Next, I will talk about the organs. What are the organs involved in the metabolism? First, brain. Brain. Second, liver. And muscle. Oh, no, muscle. Maybe it's intestine. And then muscle, and adipose, and finally kidney. Okay, maybe intestine in here. And before the intestine, we have a bile. I think bile is also important. Bile, and finally in here we have lung. Okay, so all of our nutrition will come from our intestine. all of the nutrition come from intestine. From the intestines, of course, between these organs, there is an intermediate organ known as blood. I don't write the blood, but yeah, you should understand. Maybe the bile and liver I will look up close because bile and liver do not come into blood. So all of our nutrition will come from intestine. From here, I will use different color to make it easier for understanding. I will use a red color, maybe red color for carbohydrate, and green color, green color for lipid, blue color for protein. I hope it will make it easier for you to understand. Carbohydrate, lipid, and protein. Amino acid and protein. Yeah, okay. Okay, first carbohydrate. From intestine, absorption will go into the liver. There is a major blood vein flow from intestine to liver, which is called as vena porta hepatica. Vena porta hepatica is a big blood vessel. It's vein flowing from intestine to the liver. This vein is very rich in nutrition. It comes from our intestine. Next, liver will filter up. Liver will screen this nutrition, and it will separate nutrition and toxic. Because in our food, actually there are many toxins also as well. Yeah. For example, like in our food, we use coloring agent, aroma enhancer, flavor enhancer, aroma enhancer, and many other. That is a toxic compounds. Even though it's not toxic, it's not a nutrition. So this is a liver job to separate nutrition and from the other nutrition. Or for example, like you eat some medication, when you are fever, you take paracetamol. Yeah, liver will do the screen. This is medicine, this is a toxin, this is nutrition, liver will do. Next, some carbohydrate, some glucose will be stored by liver, and liver also will send carbohydrate to two main organ, which is brain and muscle. Of course, why liver send carbohydrate into brain and muscle? Because brain to think exclusively need carbohydrate, need glucose. Brain cell can only use glucose as an energy sources. Brain cells. Okay, this is the carbohydrate. Yeah. Next, in the case you have excess amount of carbohydrate. For example, like in liver this person eats so many carbohydrate. So some of the carbohydrate will be sent into adipose tissue. What for? For storage, converted into fat. Okay, so for conversion into fat. Okay, so I will give number for you for your easier understanding. So this is the priority, okay? In the case this person in starvation and he or she only eats small amount of carbohydrate, the carbohydrate will only send to the brain because no brain, no life. Yeah, of course, someone will die if he or she doesn't have any brain. Yeah, secondly, we'll send into the muscle for energy. Yeah, some person who is very weak cannot do anything because of the starvation. He or she can still think. Yeah, there is a glucose in the brain, but no glucose in muscle, so cannot move. Okay. Next, adipose tissue. In the case of exercise, heavy exercise, then muscle cell will accumulate lactic acid. And when we take a rest, this lactic acid will return back into liver. So muscle also send a carbohydrate form of lactic acid. Yeah, so in here I will write lactic acid. Okay. Okay, so if you see in here, liver and muscle form a cycle. This cycle we call as glucose. We call as Cori cycle. Yeah. So liver send glucose into the muscle. Muscle send lactic acid back to the liver. Liver send glucose to the muscle. It forms a cycle. This cycle known as Cori cycle. Okay. This is the metabolism of carbohydrate. Okay. Carbohydrate. Next, we will go lipid metabolism. Okay, lipid metabolism. Of course, from intestine will send lipid from our diet to liver. Next, liver will take what it needs. How about the other lipid? No, liver will not send lipid to muscle. Muscle cell do not need lipid. Lipid will be sent into adipose tissue to make new fat. So if we eat fat, it's just go to adipose tissue. So maybe you have a question. So in which if I don't eat glucose, what will happen? How my brain will have a power? Yeah, your brain will have power from what is known as ketone bodies. So yeah, here in the case of you don't have carbohydrate, the brain will use energy in the form of ketone bodies. So this is, I will write ketone bodies in here. And also, adipose tissue, if we undergo fasting or starvation, adipose tissue also will break down lipid and send it back into liver. Yeah. Sent back to the liver, adipose tissue. So this is a cycle. Also, if you see, from liver to adipose form a cycle. But this is not originally cycle. Why? Because this is not a metabolic cycle like Cori cycle in here, which is formed in exercise and resting condition. So glucose to muscle in resting condition, in normal condition. Muscle sent to liver in the form of lactic acid in resting condition. Yeah, but in here we send fat to adipose when we are, and we will send back fat from adipose to liver when we are fasting or starvation. So the cycle is eat and fasting cycle. Eat fasting cycle. So for someone that has never fasting, has never doing heavy exercise, never work out, he or she will not have this back arrow from adipose to liver. And you will see that this is only one-way arrow, and he or she will accumulate many fats in his or her adipose tissue, yeah, below the skin. So, okay, this is the lipid metabolism. Next, there is also lipid sent from liver to bile and bile to intestine in the form of cholesterol. So here is cholesterol. Not cholesterol, sorry, bile acid, yeah, bile acid. Okay, so here this is from liver to bile. Liver will send bile acid. As I say previously, bile acid is catabolism product of cholesterol. So you want to take out cholesterol from your body, yeah, you will take it out from your bowel. Yeah. You will not want your fat to go out your skin. Yeah, it's not work that way. Yeah, So if you want to reduce your body weight, for example, like you will doing some heavy exercise, you drink plenty of water, yeah. You eat healthy, you eat many fiber, and then you will have a healthy bowel movement, and then your excess fat, your excess cholesterol will go from your bowel. So that's how it's work. And then some of the excess fat will go out from intestine. It's just go out there into feces. So we will not discuss that. Okay, this is the lipid metabolism. Finally, we will talk about protein metabolism. So all of our proteins in intestine absorb as amino acid. Amino acid will be sent into the liver. In the liver will also screen this amino acid. In the case liver have excess amino acid, yeah, this amino acid will be sent first into the brain. As I said previously, brain is a very important tissue. If this is what make us different from human with animals. We have our brain. We have a very developed brain compared to animals. Okay, next, the other protein also will be sent into muscle. So muscle cell contain many protein. Okay, if you see in my scheme here, you will not see heart. Sir, heart is a very important organ, but why we don't talk about heart? Because heart is basically also muscle. Heart muscle cell. Heart is also a form of muscle. The differences is in heart cell have many mitochondria, so it will color darker than normal muscle cell. But however, heart is also a form of muscles. So this is muscle. So we send to brain and muscle. Then in the case of starvation, for example, not a fasting, but starvation. So please make a difference. So first, in normal condition, in between meal condition, we will use glycogen as our energy sources. In normal condition, after eating, of course, we will use the glucose from our meal as energy. In between meal, we will use glycogen as energy sources. In fasting, we will use fat as our energy sources. In starvation, we will use protein as our energy sources. So in severe starvation, our body should make a very hard decision from which the body will survive. And the logical move that the body make is it will degrade the muscle protein and send into the liver. So in the case of a muscle protein degradation or catabolism occur, that is a very severe starvation. Yeah, so in Africa we see many of those poverty people have a very small muscle, very small muscle because they have a severe starvation. And at the case, protein is used as energy sources. And here protein is used as energy sources. And liver will convert protein to make glucose from glucogenic amino acid, and also to make acetyl-CoA for energy. So as energy and glucose will be supplied from muscle cells. Okay. So in the case we eat excess protein, or in the case of degradation of amino acid from muscle cell, liver will send urea. So this is urea from liver to the kidney. Of course, some urea synthesis also will occur in kidney and will be taken out from our body. Okay, I have one other organ that is lung. From all of these organs, mainly muscle cells and liver, it will send here, here. This is CO2. CO2. Okay. Yeah, brain cell also. Okay. Color is wrong. I should use black color. Okay. Okay. This is the overall metabolism in our body. Okay, are there any question about this metabolic pathway? Okay, any question? Not yet? Okay, I will stop share and I will move to our slides. Okay, can you see the slide clearly? Okay. Yeah. Okay, scope of study, metabolism in certain organ, eating cycle and starvation condition, hormone role in metabolism. Okay, so we will discuss also about hormone role. This is the metabolic pathway in human. There are almost 200 basic reaction in human. This is a normal reaction. Other from this, we also have specific metabolism related to, for example, like disorder, disease, and other abnormal metabolism. So you will see here carbohydrate metabolism as a main pathway, and also glycan biosynthesis and metabolism. This is in plants, ya, glycan biosynthesis in plant. Nucleotide metabolism, lipid metabolism, energy metabolism, amino acid metabolism, other amino acid metabolism, metabolism of cofactor and vitamin. This is in plants and bacteria. Biosynthesis of secondary metabolite in plant and bacteria also. Biodegradation of xenobiotic. Nah, xenobiotic is other substance, non-nutrition substance that enter our body. That is called with xenobiotic. Okay, so we'll make a mark. Okay, so this part only in plant and bacteria. What I am give circle is only in plant and bacteria. This body metabolism. So I already talked this. Carbohydrate, glucose, fructose, galactose, all of this will be converted into glucose. So glucose is the important. Okay, so all will be converted into glucose. Next, glucose will enter our body, conversion into glucose 6-phosphate. From here, glucose 6-phosphate will go to glycogen for storage and can be take again to glucose, yeah, and undergo glycolysis for making energy. But there is also alternative pathway in here, yeah. The book do not write. Is pentosa phosphate pathway, PPP. Pentosa phosphate pathway. Next, pyruvic acid can go into lactic acid and can go into acetyl-CoA. Acetyl-CoA go to citric acid cycle to make energy, a lot of energy. Yeah, and then pyruvic acid can also be converted into lactic acid and conversion back into glucose. We already talked previously that acetyl-CoA can be converted into fat and lipid through lipogenesis. And fat and lipid can go beta oxidation to make acetyl-CoA. Yeah, so the important part is here fatty acid. Yeah. Next, protein or amino acid from our diet will go into nitrogen pool or amino acid and will make tissue protein. Other than that, excess protein will go to urea cycle. Urea cycle and citric acid cycle has similarities, has not similarities, has the same intermediate, has the same intermediate. I already discussed about this last week. And the nitrogen pool, the carbon chain can go into pyruvic acid, acetyl-CoA, or citric acid cycle. Yeah. About glucogenic and aminogenic, glucogenic and ketogenic amino acid. This is in human. Yeah. Tissue metabolism. Okay, I already discussed this. So every tissue in human body has a specific function. Correlate with its anatomy and metabolic activity. As for you, veterinary students, you will study more difficult, I think, than medical doctor. Yeah. Medical doctor only study about human metabolism. However, for veterinary students, yeah, you will study about various animals. Yeah, and the metabolism, for example, in horse and in zebrafish is totally different. Yeah. Very, very different. So, for example, like in shark metabolism, in snakes, how about the metabolism in giant panda? It's different. And the important organ in important tissue in metabolism, first brain, yeah. Glucose, ketone body in a prolonged fasting. So this is the energy source. Green, well fed. Red, fasting and starvation. Second, about okay, this picture show heart, yeah, cardiac muscle, and also skeletal muscle. But basically, for easier understanding, it's same. Cardiac muscle, skeletal muscle, same. In here, they also write it the same. Fatty acid and ketone. Yeah, glucose, fatty acid, and ketone. This also can use glucose, actually. Yeah, cardiac muscle also use glucose. And next, about the liver. Liver use glucose, amino acid, fatty acid. Adipose tissue, glucose and fatty acid. Red blood cell, glucose, exclusively use glucose. In normal condition, in starvation condition, exclusively use glucose. Red blood cell. Okay, liver, carbohydrate metabolism. So, monosaccharide from our digestive system will pass intestinal epithelial cell. So this intestinal epithelial cell will act as a screen to separate the intestinal room and also blood. And for all those compounds who can move from the intestine into blood vessel, then we can absorb it. And intestinal cell wall itself also doing some metabolic reaction. So, for example, this is this is liver cell, yeah, and all of those compounds from the blood will send into the liver. The glucose 6-phosphate is an important intermediate in carbohydrate metabolism. It can be polymerized into glycogen, desphosphorylated into blood glucose, and converted back into fatty acid with acetyl-CoA as intermediate. It can be oxidized in glucolysis, citric acid cycle, and respiratory chain to make ATPs. It can enter pentose phosphate pathway to make pentose and NADPH. So this is a hepatocyte or liver cell. In hepatocyte, glucose will enter in the form of glucose 6-phosphate. And this glucose 6-phosphate can be sent back into the blood after screening, as I said previously. So the blood in the liver is not only passed that way, but liver will screen the blood. Liver will choose whether harmful substance or not in our diet. Next, some of the glucose will be stored in the form of glycogen, and some of the glucose will enter pentose phosphate pathway to make nucleotide, and many of the glucose will be used as energy in glycolysis, citric acid cycle, and respiratory electron chain. Then excess acetyl-CoA will be converted into fatty acid, and also cholesterol. This is actually okay. Liver, protein metabolism. Amino acid are used in liver and blood plasma protein synthesis. Amino acid carbon chain can be converted into glucose and glycogen via gluconeogenesis. Ammonia from the deamination process is converted into urea. So here you will see protein. Okay. So in normal condition, other than eating, for example, like when we are not eating, if our liver need amino acid, muscle cell will send some amino acid in the form of alanine into the liver. Alanine will be converted into pyruvate and into amino acid. So this amino acid will be used for making liver protein synthesis and also sent back into the blood in the form of plasma protein. There are some disease also related with plasma protein defect. Okay, in liver protein metabolism, many diseases involved in here. Or maybe I will back to this first. Okay, so because you are a veterinary medicine student, so I think it's important to discuss about the defect in disorder caused by the defect in metabolism. Okay, first, there is a disease in which the person cannot synthesize liver glucose. So no liver glucose synthesis. The disease is called with glycogen glycogen storage disease. Okay, so some person cannot synthesis glycogen. The disease is known with glycogen storage disease. Glycogen storage disease or GSD. This disease is a hereditary disease. Hereditary disease. When the person cannot synthesis glycogen, he or she cannot do fasting. Why? Because before fasting, before we use fat as energy sources, we have to use glycogen as energy sources. So in the case a person cannot synthesis glycogen, he or she cannot eat excess carbohydrate, cannot eat excess protein, cannot eat excess fat, because any excess nutrition will be converted into fat, and the fat stored cannot be degraded back into energy in this kind of person, because he or she cannot store glycogen. So this person who cannot store glycogen, he or she will have to eat anytime, but in a small amount of nutrition. So the diet should be very restricted, but should be eat at any time, like a panda. Panda is eating at any time. But panda can storage glycogen. Panda problem is Panda eat low amount of nutrition. Bambu plant, ya. Yeah. Okay. So this is the first disease, yeah, glucogen storage disease, and I will talk about plasma protein disease. Yeah, some person cannot synthesis this plasma protein. Yeah. Okay, I will make mark. Fail to synthesis plasma protein disease, usually albumin, ya. Okay. The disease name is hypoalbuminemia. Hypoalbuminemia. Okay, so protein plasma is used to maintain our blood pH, is used to as protein source for our other organ. Hypoalbuminemia. Okay. Hypoalbuminemia. Okay. Treat it with high albumin or egg consumption. Okay. Hypoalbuminemia, treat with high albumin or egg consumption. Okay, next, amino acid also used to make nucleotide, hormones, porphyrin chain. What is porphyrin? Porphyrin is a main ring system in hemoglobin. So, and after hemoglobin synthesis happen, the hemoglobin will be sent into bone marrow to make red blood cell. Next, excess amino acid will be sent to make NH3 in urea cycle. So this is also a problem, ya. Urea. Problem is if too many, too high. Yeah, maybe not like this. Eraser. Okay. Okay. In the case too many urea, yeah. For example, like in kidney failure, yeah, then the person should undergo a blood dialysis. Usually in kidney failure, urea will be accumulated, and the person should undergo dialysis. Urea accumulation. Because kidney failure. Kidney failure. Okay, should do blood dialysis. And next, the carbon chain of amino acid can go into glucose to gluconeogenesis, supply blood glucose. Also, it can go to citric acid cycle to make energy. It can go into acetyl-CoA to make fat. And there is an alanine cycle in here as well. So, okay, finally, lipid metabolism. Lipid convert fatty acid into triacylglycerol, phospholipid, and cholesterol. Lipid are transported as lipoprotein to adipose tissue for storage. Lipid storage is in adipose tissue. Yeah, fatty acid can be oxidized to make ATP or ketone body and then circulated into another tissue. So please pay attention in here. Fatty acid from our diet, for example, will go to make a liver lipid. And then it can also undergo beta oxidation to make acetyl-CoA to be used as energy in citric acid cycle and oxidative phosphorylation. It can also go into ketone body that is flowing into the blood. Acetyl-CoA can be converted into cholesterol, waste as bile salt, and also can be steroid hormone in the blood. Next, fatty acid can also go into blood in the form of plasma lipoprotein. And free fatty acid in the blood also available with bond to albumin. So where can the disorder? Some disorder in fat metabolism in here. For example, like in here. In the case plasma lipoprotein too high, high plasma lipoprotein will lead to the condition known as hyperlipidemia. Hyperlipidemia. Hyperlipidemia will lead to condition known as atherosclerosis. The atherosclerosis can lead to conditions such as coronary heart disease and also stroke. Treatment by strict diet, ya, by low calorie diet, low calorie diet and cholesterol synthesis inhibition. Okay, so in hyperlipidemia, atherosclerosis, coronary heart disease, stroke, this is a very serious disease. Okay, so this is also interesting. If you have interest in this part of metabolism, it's also quite interesting. Next, muscle works and ATP. Muscle use glycogen as energy sources when the body do activity. So when we are eating, of course, our muscle cell will use glucose as the energy sources. But as human do not always eat at any time, not like panda. We eat only at certain time. For example, like we take breakfast, we will take lunch, and later we will take dinner. So where do our muscle cell get energy? In the time of between meal. The muscle cell obtain the energy from glycogen breakdown. So when we take our meal, glucose will be converted into glycogen in our muscle cell. In between meal, our muscle cell will use those glycogen as energy sources. Lactic acid fermentation occur in the muscle cells. When our muscle cell do the hard work. For example, like you do workout, you do marathon, you do heavy exercise, then your muscle cell will start to synthesize lactic acid or lactate. So here, in light activity or resting, our muscle cell will use fatty acid, ketone body, and also glucose to make energy. This process will lead to CO2 formation. CO2, carbon dioxide, will go to our lung and exhale from our lung. This process will make ATP for our energy, muscle contraction. In the case of heavy activity, first we will use this compound known as phosphocreatine. In the case phosphocreatine is not enough, burst of heavy activity, then our muscle will start to use glycogen as a form of energy. When the muscle use glycogen as a form of energy, it will start to produce lactate anaerobically. Why? Because in this case, oxygen is not enough. Our lung cannot supply enough oxygen to our muscle cell. That's why our muscle cell will use anaerobic way of producing energy. And lactate, or the other name is lactic acid, is acidic form of molecule. That's why after heavy exercise, when we measure our blood pH, it will drop. From 7.4, maybe it will drop unto 7.2, 7.1. At the time, acid accumulation in muscle will make our muscle become fatigue, pain. That's why we need resting. When we are resting, the lactic acid will be sent into the liver. After the lactic acid all gone into the liver, then our muscle fatigue, muscle pain will be disappear. This process can be speed up by giving salicylic acid in our fatigue muscle, in the skin of our fatigue muscle. Salicylic acid will push the equilibrium of acid base in muscle, so it will remove the excess acid in muscle cell. Lactate is then reconverted into glucose through gluconeogenesis and glycogen in the liver at recovery or resting state. Phosphocreatine is an instant ATP source when muscle contract. Okay, next. Muscle and liver and muscle cell metabolism connection. Muscle cell use glycogen actively and produce lactate via glycolysis. Lactate is then transported into the liver and converted via glucose into glucose via gluconeogenesis at recovery or resting. Glucose is released back to the blood and returned to the muscle to fill up the muscle glycogen storage. Total pathway like this, yeah. In a normal condition, yeah, we will supply the blood glucose, and blood glucose will be used for our muscle cell to make glycogen. And when our muscle do heavy exercise, glycogen will be catabolized into lactate. Lactate will be sent back to liver, and liver will use ATP to make new glucose and send back to the muscle cell. This cycle known as Cori cycle. This is called as Cori. Cori cycle. Okay, those are liver and muscle cell. Next, we will go to brain cell. Okay, before I start to talk about brain cell, then any question? Okay, no question for muscle and liver cell. Okay, next, brain cell. Okay, please pay attention for the brain cell. Yeah, here in muscle cell, you have two kinds of arrow: blue arrow, red arrow. In muscle cell, in brain cell, you can see that this yellow arrow is from ketone body and red arrow from glucose. So in here, brain cell cannot use fat or protein as energy sources. It's used glucose exclusively in normal diet, and ketone body as alternative energy source in starvation. Okay, brain neuron use glucose and beta hydroxybutyrate as energy sources exclusively. Beta hydroxybutyrate is an important compound in the state of fasting and starvation. Brain cell use ATP for sodium potassium active transport and maintain electric balance in nerve membrane. So, how can we think? We can think because in our brain cell, there are so many electric connections between our brain cell. Well, basically how we store information, how we process information, this process is electric potential information, electric potential process. So in the case this electric potential process balance is disturbed, yeah, the thinking process also disturbed. Okay. Blood transport oxygen, nutrition, and hormone. We will discuss this. Whole blood can be separated into blood plasma and cell part by centrifugation technique. Roughly 10% of blood plasma are soluble substance, inorganic salt, small organic molecule, and plasma protein. Previously, I named it albumin. Blood contain many other substances in a very low concentration. Metabolite, enzymes, hormones, vitamins, bile pigment. Concentration measurement of blood plasma component are important in the diagnosis and treatment of various diseases. Okay, before we talk more about this, I will discuss about blood component. Okay, this is the whole blood. Whole blood. Okay, basically there are three parts of blood. First is the plasma, liquid part. Secondly is the coagulation factor. Finally, blood cell. So if you have sorry. Okay, if you have the liquid part of the blood, we call it as serum. But if you have liquid part and also thrombocyte or other coagulation factor, we call it as plasma. Okay. Nah, this is plasma. Okay, liquid and serum and plasma. How we make serum, how we make plasma? This is by centrifugation only. But to make plasma, you will need anticoagulant plus this one is plus anticoagulant. And centrifugation. Okay. Yeah, anticoagulant and centrifugation, you will get plasma. So this is the blood component, and blood cell will be sedimented either from plasma or from serum. Okay. Either from plasma or serum, blood component will be coagulated. Yeah, and in here you will see the separation. So here, red part is the solid part of the blood. Blue part is the liquid part of the blood we call as plasma serum. And for this pink and also light yellow, this is we will obtain this if we get plasma. Plasma solute. Yeah, this is called plasma solute. Leukocyte and platelet in here. Okay, next. Physiological effect of blood glucose. So normal blood glucose is between 70 until 100 or 120 is still okay. 120. This is actually not normal. Fasting is fasting. Yeah, fasting. Difficult. Okay. Okay, so fasting glucose. Terus. Yeah, fasting glucose is like that, and 2 hours after meal should be less than. Okay. So this is the glucose concentration. When the glucose concentration reach below 70, we will express hunger. Release of glucagon, epinephrine, cortisol, sweating, trembling, yeah. And this response will lead to glycogen breakdown. When we are able to break down glycogen, then the blood glucose will return back to normal range. In the case of glucagon breakdown fail, below 40 milligram per deciliter, then it will lead to severe hypoglycemia, can lead to lethargy or coma. Below 20 milligram per deciliter is permanent brain damage and lead to fatalities. Okay, this full and hungry effect on metabolism. Okay. In full condition, we will express insulin. Okay, I think I need to explain about this. Yeah, so okay, I think I need to explain about this. Okay, first, insulin. Insulin. What happen if we eat, or maybe like this? Okay, if we eat something, eat. Eat. Okay. Yeah. Now, if we eat something, then all of the nutrition will go into the blood, okay? All of the nutrition will go into the blood. In this case, okay, so for easier understanding, I will use this. Okay, red as signal. This is compounds, substance. When we eat, all of our nutrition will go into the blood. And here, our pancreas also will sense that if we eat something, then pancreas will release what is known with insulin. Insulin will give instruction to cells to absorb the glucose. So insulin will give cell instruction to absorb glucose. Not only glucose, fatty acid also absorbed by insulin, amino acid also absorbed by the presence of insulin. So many insulin will regulate many things. So in here, insulin will be excreted by pancreas, and it will see this blue color arrow. Insulin will induce this blue color arrow in glucose absorption into the liver, glucose absorption into the brain, and sending of lipid to the adipose tissue. All of these arrow is induced by insulin presence. So we known as postprandial. Postprandial is mean after eating. Each fasting cycle has 3 steps. In postprandial, after the food is digested and absorbed, nutrition level in the blood is high. In post-absorption, after overnight fasting, nutrient level in the blood is low. And then we eat again at breakfast. Main function is to maintain glucose homeostasis. Okay, how about when this is high blood glucose? So the pancreas will release insulin and induce glycogen synthesis in the muscle and glucose breakdown in the muscle. Induce glycogen synthesis in the liver and also glucose breakdown in the liver. Glucose, amino acid, and lipid transported into blood. Insulin secretion increase. Insulin increase glucose uptake into the liver by GLUT3. Insulin increase glucose uptake into the muscle and adipose tissue. Okay, so I will talk about the disorder in insulin metabolism. Okay, some person the pancreas fail to synthesis insulin. Fail to synthesis insulin. This is called diabetes type 1. Type 1. And in some person, his or her cell fail to receive insulin message. So this is called with diabetes type 2. Diabetes type 1 and diabetes type 2. Of course, the treatment is different. For diabetes type 1, why pancreas fail to produce insulin? Usually because damage of pancreatic cell. For example, like injury, yeah. For example, like some toxin or poison and make the pancreas disrupt unhealthy lifestyle like smoking can make the pancreas cell become stressed. This is pancreas. Type 2 diabetes happen because the cell fail to recognize the insulin. Why? This is because your cell is lazy. Why the cell is lazy? Because us is lazy. For example, like sedentary lifestyle, like only lay down, watching TV, eating, lay down, watching TV, sleeping, yeah, like that cycle will lead to diabetes type 2. Yeah, and 90% of diabetic people is diabetic type 2. 90%. Diabetic type 1 only about 10%. Diabetic type 1 medication is insulin injection. Treat by insulin injection. This is insulin injection. But for diabetic type 2, it's not enough for insulin injection. This is, should be used changes in lifestyle. Lifestyle changes. Of course, medication is important also. Yeah, some medication. Medication also important. But the main factor is changes in lifestyle. Reduce body weight. Stop smoking. Yeah. Do exercise. That is the cure for diabetic type 2. Eat healthy food. Okay, so that is the main diabetic type 2. So this is important aspect in glucose metabolism. So next, this is glucose absorption, insulin. Next, we will talk the second hormone. It is called as glucagon. Glucagon. So in the case of a very low blood glucose, less than 70 milligram per DL blood glucose. Then our body will give signal to pancreas. Pancreas will release glucagon. Glucagon will be accepted by all cells, body cells, and the cells, this is usually liver, Glucagon will send some signal to liver cell. Liver cell start to break glycogen break glycogen into glucose. And also some signal will be sent to muscle cell. Muscle cell. Muscle cell also will use glycogen to make glucose. Some signal also sent to adipose cells. And adipose cell will start to degrade lipid or fat into ketone bodies. Okay. So here we have glucagon and insulin metabolism. There are no disorder in glucagon metabolism because glucagon is housekeeping hormone. So there are no disorder. Okay. This is the example of pancreatic beta cells. Pancreatic beta cell is a cell who is responsible to produce insulin. So, pancreatic alpha cell responsible to produce glucagon, beta cell responsible to produce insulin. Cell damage happen oftenly in beta cell. That's why insulin release cannot be done and causing diabetes. Okay, this is metabolism in early fasting. I think I already explained about this, so yeah, I will skip this. Metabolism after eating again. Lipid is similar. Liver is not absorbing glucose. Yeah, liver is conducting gluconeogenesis. Newly formed glucose is used to make glycogen, and so on. Metabolism in prolonged fasting and starvation. Okay, a person with 70 kilogram of body weight has 161,000 kilocalorie energy storage. In 24 hours, we need 1,600 until 6,000 kilocalorie, depend on our activity. Regular student, you need about 2,500 kilocalorie for male and 2,000 kilocalorie for female. Female use energy less than male normally. So we can survive for 1 until 3 months. Theoretically. Main priority is starvation. In starvation metabolism, glucose, brain, and several important tissue. Next priority, prevent protein degradation by shifting glucose metabolism to fat metabolism. But remember, this is we can survive 1 month without eating, yes, but with drinking, okay? But I hear some news that some person already die because of 3 days or 1 week without eating. Why? Because the body never doing exercise. I hear some person who is late eating and he or she pale and faint. He or she faint in a prolonged ceremony. For example, like morning flag ceremony, and the person is standing like this for 30 minutes and faint. Why? That's because his or her body cell never do exercise, never do fasting. That's why when the body cell need storage energy, it cannot access it because never exercise. For example, like you have food in your refrigerator. When you're hungry, you can take those food from your refrigerator. But you can imagine someone who has never seen refrigerator, for example, like the tribe from the middle of the forest, and he or she will go into the house and see the refrigerator. He maybe don't know how to open the refrigerator. That is the cell who is never doing exercise, never doing fasting. So when the cell need energy, there is energy there, but the cell cannot access it. That's why when he or she doing some flag ceremony and faint, 30 minutes and faint, cannot do glycogen breakdown, cannot do lipid breakdown. Okay, this is plasma concentration in fasting and starvation condition. In normal concentration, our glucose is high. If we eat constantly, our glucose is about this 5 millimolars. Free fatty acid is low. Ketone body almost none. In a normal person, we don't produce ketone body because ketone body production will lead to smell, body smell. Will lead to awful body smell. That's happened when someone go fasting, heavy exercise, eating only protein and fat. He or she will tend to make a stronger smells, body smell. Yeah. Glucose is decreased after 2 days starvation. Ketone body increase dramatically after 2 until 4 days starvation. After 3 days starvation, liver form ketone body. Acetyl-CoA synthesis is increased. Liver form many ketone body. Brain cell begin to use acetoacetate as energy source. After 3 days, 1/3 of energy come from ketone body in brain cell. Heart cell also use ketone body. This fuel metabolism in starvation. Okay, I will pass this. Physiological and effect of epinephrine. What is epinephrine? Epinephrine is glucagon and adrenaline. Same structure, different function. Epinephrine, glucagon used to maintain our body metabolism. Epinephrine, adrenaline used to maintain metabolism if we get stress. For example, like some wild dog running chase us, and yeah, we can break down. Heart rate increase, blood pressure increase, dilation of respiratory passage, and starting to get extra energy. Metabolic glycogen breakdown, in muscle and liver increase, gluconeogenesis in liver increase, glycolysis increase, fatty acid mobilization increase, and glucagon secretion increase. This is in the cause of epinephrine. This is metabolic homeostasis. Yeah, basically I already talked about this. Okay, that's all. Okay. Okay, those are the learning materials for integration of metabolism. Okay, are there any of you have a question about this integration metabolism? Okay, any question? No? Yeah. Okay, how about the other students? Yeah, I can see only Nabila and Angeline faces. Yeah, how about the other student? Okay, any question? No question. Yeah. Okay, if there are no questions, so metabolic syndrome is a syndrome in which there is a disorder in metabolism. Metabolic syndrome is important in today's life because we experience shifting of lifestyle. So, metabolic syndrome is is a syndrome in which composed of many other diseases such as diabetes, hyperlipidemia, or hypercholesterol, ya, kolesterol, hyperuricemia, or gout, yeah, we known as gout, and also hypertension. Many of us, or many of persons around us, especially our elderly peoples, experience this kind of metabolic syndrome. That's why the research in metabolic syndrome is very interesting nowadays, especially where in today's life, the well-being. The well-being both in Indonesia, in Malaysia is increased. Yeah, average income in Indonesia and Malaysia also increase year by year. And if the average income increase, usually life expectancy also increase. I don't know in Malaysia, but in Indonesia, the data show that in the last 10 years, in the last 20 years, yeah, after the 1998 economic crash, our life expectancy increased rapidly. So the life expectancy increase in one side, we think, oh, that's very good. Our life expectancy increase, but it comes with another problem. Life expectancy of people increase, but the metabolic syndrome, the disease related to metabolic syndrome also increase. Today, I hear more and more people, they have diabetes. They have atherosclerosis, heart disease, stroke even. They have hyperuricemia or gout. Some person difficult to walk because of gout. Their joints and feet become very, very painful and cannot walk, just do simple walk. And hypertension also. It is good for us to have a long life, but we want also a long, healthy life. And that is where the study about biochemistry, metabolic syndrome become very important. And today, in order to support for the reduction of this metabolic syndrome, people go to supplements and herbs, herbal medicine. Why? Because people do not want to take chemical medicine because there are many side effects. Because people don't want to eat, about eating healthy also, that's problem. Usually, healthy food is not taste good, and good food, delicious food is usually not healthy. Yeah, people want to eat delicious food but want to be healthy. So how we can do this? And more of all today, today we experience work from home, study from home, and many people become more and more lazy. So only lay down, open laptop, watching Zoom, watching TV, playing cell phone, and not doing exercise. And I see in near 5 years, maybe, or 10 years, there will be more and more people who will experience this metabolic syndrome. And that's why to make, what is the role of veterinary medicine student? Your role is to provide new organism to testing of this supplement, this medication, this new kinds of food we call as functional food. Before human eat those food, consume those medicine, consume those supplement, we must test it in animals. For example, like mice, rats, rabbits, or even monkeys, or even more simple form of organism like fish, shrimp, or worm. Yeah. So that is the role of veterinary medicine. So if you want to go to the more medicine area, yeah, become a researcher, that's an important, interesting point of view, in my opinion. Yeah, if you want to study more about this metabolic syndrome. Okay, okay. I think the time is already passed by. Maybe one simple question is okay, if any.
Sir, I think I have a question.
Okay, please, Nabila.
So, like you mentioned before, like people are more likely to shift to like herbal medicine and all to like treat their, I don't know, symptoms and sickness maybe, but like their lifestyle doesn't seem to change even with them consuming like more herbal medicine and all. Will like herbal treatment ever be adequate to eating healthy and healthy lifestyle to like, I don't know, compromise metabolic syndromes and everything?
Yeah, very interesting question. Can herbal medicine replace healthy lifestyle? No. Of course it cannot. Yeah, but however, it can compensate our food. For example, like someone eating too many cholesterol, he or she can eat herbal medicine with high amount of fiber, and also, for example, like chitosan, chitosan or fiber can absorb cholesterol. So it will reduce cholesterol absorption in our intestine. And reduce the cholesterol absorption means less cholesterol in our blood and safer for our blood vessel. So but how about, can it replace exercise? No, of course not. We should do exercise. There is there is an easy way to see whether a city is healthy or not. Okay, so it's easy to assess if our body is healthy or not. But I think it's other than our body, we also have to assess whether our city is healthy or not. Yeah. The easy way, for example, if you go in the early morning, go out from your room, go out from your house, and you see many people sneezing without cause in the early morning, that is a sign that the city is not healthy. For example, like in Jakarta. In Jakarta, before the pandemic, if we see some people in the early morning, some people will just sneeze without cause. He or she is not getting a cold, but just sneeze, and that's all. That is an indication the air of the city is not healthy. Because in the early morning, the temperature is low, and the heavy part of the air tend to go down. For example, like heavy metal, other pollution tend to go down. And at that point, our nose will throw out that toxic substance by sneezing. And at that point, the city is not healthy. I think Malaysia is better in Indonesia in terms of management of large city. Yeah, I visited Malaysia several times. Well, as we know, Kuala Lumpur is the largest city, but your government central is now in Putrajaya. Putrajaya. Yeah, Putrajaya. Yeah. So by separating government office and major city, I think it's a good step in environment ecology. Yeah, but in Indonesia, economic center, government center, education center, all of the center in Jakarta. So Jakarta is very crowded, very crowded. So now Jakarta government is doing more and more to do environment activity. For example, like they are doing odd and even car number. I think in ASEAN only Indonesia or Jakarta doing this. So for example, like today is 18 November, so only even number car can go to Jakarta. For example, like my car is number is 1617. No, I cannot go to Jakarta because 17. but only even number car. But for tomorrow, only odd number car. Yeah, that's one point. But I think that is not also good because for the rich people, they will just buy more cars. And the other part is also Jakarta government now doing some emission regulation. So car more than 3 years should pay more taxes. Yeah, but I think that's also a problem for middle class. For rich person, it's no problem. For middle class, become problem. So yeah, that is some health or environmental issue, yeah, in Indonesia. But I think related to food, yeah, food. I think Indonesian and Malaysian people is not greatly differ because yeah, if we talk about not percentage of nutrition, yeah, Indonesian food, Malaysian food is almost similar. So I think food related health is also, yeah, quite similar. Yeah, lifestyle also quite similar maybe. So metabolic syndrome, I think it's happened also in Indonesia and Malaysia, and include this pandemic will make it worse. Okay, maybe that, Nabila, enough?
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Okay, I think the time is already enough, so you will go to practicum after this. So thank you very much, and let me end today's session. Okay, see you and stay healthy.
Thank you,
sir.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, I will close this room.